And we're recording. We're good to go. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you for our test administration office hours. We have a couple things to go over, a couple updates, but we also have one personnel update that we wanted to let everyone know about. So we have Kelvin Pompey, who's joining us. He is new to our psychometrics team. He'll be joining Victoria. So we're very excited to have him. You've probably gotten some emails from him already. Just wanted to put a name and a face together so you guys know who that's coming from. So welcome, Kelvin. Thanks for being here. All right. So as with all of our meetings, just a disclaimer about the use of artificial intelligence. If you are using an AI note taker, please stop that. I don't know. Discontinue. Yeah, discontinue the use of it as it's just not allowed for any of our SEDE meetings. Over. All right, going over today. We do have some deadline reminders. Then we're going to do some rostering students without state IDs. Now, Kirsten's unable to join us today. So we're going to pull up the slide. We're going to share some information about it. We'll take as many questions as we can, see what we can answer. If not, we'll jot them down and make sure to get them to Kirsten and then get you the necessary answer. So we'll do our best. However, Kirsten just has some of that knowledge that we just don't have. Then leading into submitting test dates, and then Roberta will take over for some SE Alt important dates and reminders. All right, so deadline reminders. Starting with WIDA access and WIDA alternate access, the window opens.
Your slides.
They can't see my slides. Huh. On all that stuff I was just saying didn't make a lot of sense.
Maybe you can share your screen.
Yes.
Plug it and plug it back in.
That's a good idea too. I am going to join this as well. Let's see.
Funny, we saw the slide.
It's, I don't know, this is how we in our meetings.
You think?
If you switch to anything else, you'll have to do the same thing. You have to like hard reset that.
How are we looking now?
Crystal sharing.
Hey, haven't called.
Thumb up. They can see it. Thumbs up.
All right. However, it's not the slide that I have.
No, Crystal sharing.
Crystal is sharing. Thank you. All right, Crystal, take us away. All right, so our deadline reminders. The window opens for WIDA access and WIDA alternate access tomorrow, closing on March 6th. We have NAEP assessment window 26th to March 30th. PTA January 27th and 28th. Then February 3rd, February 5th for career readiness. February 9th for SE Alt assessment. Now until February 27th for SE Ready and EOC EP. If you have any questions about those deadlines, please reach out to the program manager involved with them. All right, so this is about rostering students without state IDs, and this includes adult education. Now, this is the information that Kirsten was going to share today. If you could take a moment, read through it, see if there's anything that sticks out to you that you would have individual questions for Kirsten about. We'll field those questions the best we can. If not, we will take them down and share them with Kirsten when she returns. Wonderful. If we feel comfortable, and there's no questions in the chat, then we can move on to the next slide. And Crystal, if you want to present our next information.
Sure. So the next few slides deal with submitting test dates for SC Ready and EOCEP. The link for that has been in the DTC weekly update that is sent out by DRC. Our SC Ready testing window begins April 20th and ends June 4th, and our EOCEP testing window follows that up beginning April 28th through June 4th. So this is a Google spreadsheet that DRC has shared, and the deadline to enter testing dates on the spreadsheet is February 27th. Now, we have some guidance for you as far as entering information on that spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is not locked at this point. So if you've already entered something and a takeaway that you have from our guidance is that you need to alter something, you are free to go in and do that until February 27th. So each school must be entered on a separate line. Please don't list the district name and just say all schools. Okay, so I know this is could be cumbersome for some of our larger districts, but we need each school entered on a separate line. The testing schedule, meaning the test dates for each subject, must be posted on the school's website. Facebook is not a substitution for posting on the website. And this needs to be done 1 month prior to the opening of the state-approved testing window. We had a lot of instances in the fall of schools for EOC testing days before the tests were set to start had not posted on their websites about the testing schedule. Okay, so again, this has to be done 1 month prior to the opening of the state-approved testing window. For SC Ready, because the testing window opens April 20th, this means that the deadline to post those schedules is March 20th. For EOCEP, the opening of the test window is April 28th, and that means the deadline is March 28th. So after the Google survey has closed, testing schedules can only be changed with the permission from the program manager. Okay, so if a school needs to change their testing schedule, they'll contact the DTC. The DTC will contact the program manager. For EOC, that'll be Kirsten. For SC Ready, that'll be me. No changes will be approved within 1 month of the state testing window opening for the assessment. So for SC Ready, that means March 20th. EOCEP, that means March 28th. Okay, so no changes will be approved within 1 month of the state window opening for the assessment. Some points to remember for SC Ready. SC Ready grade 3 must be, SC Ready reading for grade 3 must be administered during the first 5 days of the test window. This is to allow for preliminary rosters to be returned for your Read to Succeed scores. Paper testing for SC Ready must be completed by the 10th day of the district testing window. ELA reading, that's parts A and B for grades 3 through 5, must be administered during the same school week. And a school week is defined as Monday to Friday. This is the same for mathematics parts A and B for grades 3 through 5. That must be administered during the same school week, Monday to Friday. And a question that comes up a lot has to deal with the order of the administrations of the test. There is no established order. In other words, science doesn't have to come after mathematics. The only caveats are those bullets that are listed there about when the reading has to be administered for grade 3 and the timeline for administering both parts of reading and math for grades 3 through 5 in the same school week. Any questions?
Yes, we have a question saying at one time math had to be administered on consecutive days. Is that no longer the case?
The guidance that came out over the summer in the form of a memo from the office did not say that it had to be on consecutive days. It just said that it had to be in the same school week. Last year's administration of ELA, parts A and B had to be on consecutive days. But the guidance this year for both the ELA and for math is the same school week, Monday to Friday.
Crystal, we have another question about posting the testing calendar on the website. So posting on the website, does that count? And would that be specific school website or district website?
Yes, it needs to be on the school website. The office does verify that schools are posting these on their websites. Okay, it has to, not everyone is on social media. So posting on Facebook does not take the place of posting this on your school's website. When we plan to do school visits, monitoring visits, we use the schedule that you guys submit to DRC on that Google Sheet. And we also go to your website to verify. And the law says that you're supposed to have that posted for parents.
So yes, this can be posting the district testing
Yes.
calendar on a school website. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
There is a question about this PowerPoint being shared as a reference. This recording is posted publicly, so you can always access this and see the slides there. And then Rob did point out that information is posted on the website. So maybe we'll take a second, we'll brief that, we'll view that, we'll figure out how to address that there, because we definitely don't want to have sending misconcerning signals there. So,
Right.
but thank you for bringing that to our attention. We super appreciate that.
And Rob, I will point out there's some things that we've been trying to get updated on our website, but we're experiencing some issues with that now. But thank you for pointing that out. That'll be on our list of things to correct.
One final thing before we go to this next slide, Tanya brought up a good point. As we do look up these testing dates when we go onto school websites, oftentimes I go to a school website and the testing dates just hit you right there. There's a big bulletin and it's colorful and it tells parents, hey, here's the testing dates, here's what's happening. And then other schools, it takes a lot of digging to get down to find those dates and times and what the window looks like. So please don't bury them deep onto the website. It should be accessible to any sort of family members approaching the website or anything like that. The link to the recording of the office hours is on YouTube. Yes?
I'll find out.
Yes. And we can even share that information with Josh to go out when he does his weekly updates, because I think that would be a useful link to share. But Victoria is going to drop that link in the chat right now. Wonderful. Shall we move to the next one, Crystal?
Yes.
Awesome. Which leads us to Roberta.
Hi, everyone. I just have a few important dates, reminders, and updates before the SCR test window opens. And there are some important dates if you want to make note of. I'll give you a minute to go through those dates. And also, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end. Okay, so I have a few things for you to remember. All no mode of communication requests should be accompanied by an early stopping rule flowchart checklist and the student's most recent IEP. Sometimes I'll get the checklist and they'll have an IEP that is expired. If the IEP is expired, it is not valid. I won't be able to use that. So please make sure to check the date that is the most recent IEP. And please email me before adding any additional students to the TIE. Make sure that all high school students in your district who take the ARV assessments are in the TIE system. And we'll talk a little more about that in a few minutes. Another reminder, students should only be administered one tested subject in a school day. If there's a special circumstance for a student to be administered more than one subject test in a day, please, you must get pre-approval, so you must email me first and get approval before you can administer a student more than one test in a day. You can go on. Also, please remind the SCR test administrators and test monitors that both of them must answer the security affidavit questions at the end of each student's test for that test to receive a score. only tests that will not have a score are the math tests because those we won't have scores until after the summer standard setting for math. And I'm pointing this out because spring administration, over 150 SCR assessment tests over the state were not scored due to the security affidavits not being answered properly. And that was about 40 different districts were involved in that. So that's half the state where there was a test administrator or test monitor that did not answer the security affidavits correctly. And those students answered 32 questions and their scores did not count. Here is an important update for high school. Some districts will need to add the high school students who are required to take the SCR assessment to the test information distribution engine manually for the spring 2026 test administration. I'll give you a minute to read through that. We did send a listserv out about this, but I haven't received very many emails or calls, and we still have about 500 students that we estimate that are not in the tide. We can go to the next one. Okay, and if you're wondering, like to trigger an automatic transfer to Tide, Power School rosters require specific activity codes found in the assessment rostering guide. And since these codes were not present during the pre-coding data pool, the system could not identify these students for enrollment into the Tide. So these codes must have been used. If these codes were not used when pre-code was done, please check and make sure that those students get added to the Tide, and just shoot me a quick email and say, hey, I have 10 high school students that I need to add to the Tide because we did not put these activity codes in. But just shoot me an email and then add those students to the Tide. Are there any questions?
Yes, so Roberta, we got one question that talks about students with no mode of communication. Can a student with no mode of communication, can they be administered more than one test on a day?
Again, you should email me because they shouldn't have any more than one administered to them. If we already have trouble with their communication, but no, you still must administer just one per day unless you send me an email and give me a valid reason why.
The only question we have right now in the chat, if there's no other questions about Roberta's specific presentation or anything that we talked about today, you definitely want to take time. If you have any questions for anyone here that maybe we can discuss as a group that would be good for other districts to hear, we'd welcome those questions. So we'll take some time for that. Otherwise, we appreciate you guys joining us and being a part of this. So we'll wait just a minute or so and see if any questions come through that we can discuss. We'll hit Brandy's question first. So the slides, they'll be available in the recording of this. So if you go up to the top to Victoria's link, that's a post of all of our recordings, so you can access the slides there. And then for access, are we required to have seating charts?
It is always a good idea to have a seating chart. That way you can guarantee that you know exactly where a student was seated while they were testing in case of a testing violation.
Nice. Yeah. Any other questions to come through? We're happy to talk about. Shockingly, I didn't have anything to share today. I usually love to toss things into these slideshows. This is wonderful. I have a few questions based off the OTT. Select 2 items and the student only selects 1 item. Questions. Thank you, Daniel. So I looked right at Daniel, who definitely knew the answer to that. So, Stephen, good question. The answer is no. Wonderful. We will hang out for a few more moments. Otherwise, you're welcome to drop off the call and we'll answer any follow-up questions. And thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Brandy. What should I say? Can you tell me when?
So Stephen, no, I can't tell you exactly how close it has to be, but I can tell you that the if the 4 is sitting on 4 and they have marked 26 perfectly, it's going to be marked incorrect because that 4 is going to have to be closer to the middle of the 4 and 5 range. So they need to place both hands pretty close to the right spot. There is tolerance for that, but I don't know, like, I can't really tell you the exact tolerance. So they don't have to be perfect, but they have to be pretty darn close. You're welcome.
You're welcome,
Yeah.
Rebecca. Thank you. 11 people.
I think with that, any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to the program manager, but we'll drop off this call and we hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Oh, one more question, Stephen.
Question.
It's majority multiple choice. We don't put out, that's not part of our blueprint. Like the number of actual tech enhanced items is not part of the blueprint. It's not going to be the lion's share of the test, though. The lion's share will still be multiple choice.
Victoria, I think we're good.